The Titan's arrival. The UES Titan emerged from the quantum fold with a brilliant flash of light, its massive silhouette gradually materializing against the backdrop of an alien star system. At 17 kilometers long and 5 kilometers wide, the Titan represented humanity's greatest achievement, a self-sufficient colony ship, research vessel, and diplomatic platform all in one. Its gleaming hull, composed of polarized metamaterials that shifted color with the angle of light, gave it an almost ethereal appearance as it slowly approached the fourth planet of the Proxima Centauri system. On the command deck, Captain Maya Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, dark eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing the azure green world growing larger before them. After 10 years of preparation and a journey that had pushed human engineering to its limits, they had arrived at humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. "All systems nominal, Captain," reported Commander Darren Okafor, his fingers dancing across the neural interface built into his station. "Quantum fold drive is cycling down. Conventional engines at 30%. We're maintaining a high orbit as planned." Maya nodded, her expression betraying none of the anxiety churning in her stomach. "And our friends? Any reaction to our arrival?" Communications Officer Arya Patul looked up from her station, her augmented eyes glowing faintly blue. "Significant increase in transmissions from the surface, Captain. They definitely know we're here. I'd be concerned if they didn't notice a ship nearly the size of one of their smaller moons," quipped Chief Science Officer Dr. Elias Reyes, who stood analyzing the sensor data streaming in about the planet designated Proxima Centauri, or Proxima, as the crew had taken to calling it. The Proximan civilization had been discovered 20 years earlier when Earth's deep space arrays detected artificial radio signals emanating from our nearest stellar neighbor. Those signals had eventually resolved into transmissions that Earth's most advanced AI systems had painstakingly decoded, revealing a civilization roughly comparable to Earth's late 21st century technology. Years of remote communication had followed. Slow, methodical exchanges of information via radio waves, gradually building a rudimentary translation matrix and establishing the groundwork for more direct contact. The invitation to visit had come from the Proximans themselves, though their signals had conveyed a certain nervousness about meeting beings from another world. What they hadn't expected was for humans to arrive in a vessel of such tremendous scale. "They're hailing us," Arya announced, her fingers moving through the air as she manipulated the invisible interface. "Same frequency we established during pre-contact communications." Maya straightened her uniform jacket. On screen, the holographic display shifted, resolving into the image of a being that resembled something between an octopus and a praying mantis. Its chitinous exoskeleton gleamed a deep purple, while 4 compound eyes studied them from a triangular head. 4 limbs appeared to serve as arms, ending in delicate manipulators, while another 4 provided stability. "I am Viridian, first speaker of the Proximan Conclave," the being's translator rendered in precise, slightly mechanical English. "We welcome you to our world, though we—" The alien hesitated, its limbs moving in what the synopsychologists had identified as a gesture of agitation. "We did not anticipate a vessel of such magnitude." Maya stepped forward, entering the visual field of the transmission. "First speaker Viridian. I am Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth Ship Titan. We come in peace and friendship, bringing greetings from Earth. Our vessel's size reflects both the challenges of interstellar travel and our desire to present a complete picture of human civilization." The aliens' movements became more pronounced. "We understood humans to be approximately our size. Your vessel suggests otherwise." A ripple of amusement went through the bridge crew, quickly suppressed by professionalism. "Our size as individuals is similar to yours," Maya explained. "Our ship is large because it contains many humans, over 10,000, plus all the systems needed to sustain us on our journey." This revelation seemed to shock the alien leader even more. 10,000. You brought 10,000 of your kind to our world." The translator couldn't fully capture the emotion, but the alarm was evident. Maya realized they had miscalculated. In their eagerness to make a good impression, to bring scientists and diplomats from every discipline and nation on Earth, they had inadvertently created the impression of an invasion force. "We meant no alarm," first speaker. "The Titan carries representatives from Earth's many cultures and scientific disciplines. We wish to ensure that whoever you met would be able to understand and appreciate your civilization fully." Viridian seemed to consider this. "Our preliminary orbital scans detect no weapon systems on your vessel." "Is this accurate?" Maya chose her words carefully. "The Titan is equipped with defensive capabilities only, as would be prudent for any vessel traveling through unknown space. We have no hostile intent." After a pause that stretched uncomfortably long, Viridian responded, "We will send a delegation to your vessel for initial contact rather than having you descend to our world. Prepare to receive 5 representatives in 6 of your Earth hours." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge crew in silence. "Well," Dr. Ray said, breaking the tension, "that could have gone better." Maya turned to her executive officer. "Commander Okafor, informed the diplomatic team. Have the reception area prepared according to Protocol 3. "Protocol 3? Okafor questioned. "That's the cautious approach." "They're scared, Darren," Maya said quietly. "And scared beings make unpredictable decisions. Let's proceed with appropriate caution." As the crew dispersed to their duties, Maya remained on the bridge, studying the beautiful blue-green world below. Humanity's first contact would not be the triumphant moment of mutual celebration they had hoped for, but rather a delicate dance of reassurance and diplomacy. 6 hours later, Maya stood in the Titan's cavernous reception bay alongside Earth's primary diplomatic team. Dr. Sophie Mbeki, the mission's chief linguist and xenanthropologist, fidgeted with the collar of her formal uniform. "They're expecting a trap," Sophia murmured, "or possibly a demonstration of overwhelming force." "Then we'll show them neither," Maya replied as a proximity alert announced the approaching Proximan shuttle. The alien craft that glided through the atmospheric containment field was surprisingly elegant, a teardrop-shaped vessel with what appeared to be crystalline components incorporated into its metallic hull. It settled onto the deck with barely a sound, its surface rippling slightly as it adjusted to the Titan's artificial gravity. A seam appeared in the shuttle's side, widening into an oval portal from which 5 Proximans emerged. Their movements were cautious but fluid, their compound eyes swiveling to take in the vast hangar bay. Viridian, identifiable by the distinctive markings on their exoskeleton, led the group. They approached the human delegation slowly, stopping at precisely the distance that had been agreed upon in earlier communications. "First speaker," Maya said, making the gesture of greeting they had learned from their communications, "welcome aboard the Titan." Viridian's upper limbs mimicked the gesture, though the movement seemed stiff. "Captain Chen, your vessel is most impressive. Thank you. We would be honored to show you more of it, at your comfort." One of the other Proximans leaned close to Viridian, their limbs moving in what appeared to be a private conversation. After a moment, Viridian addressed Maya again. "We are curious why humans would build a vessel of such size for first contact. In our history, such displays are typically intimidation." Dr. Mbeki stepped forward. "First speaker, if I may. Human history teaches us that misunderstandings between cultures often arise from incomplete information. Our vessel is large because we wish to bring not just diplomats, but artists, scientists, philosophers, representatives of the full spectrum of human experience. We desire that you meet humanity, not merely a few humans." The Proximans conferred again, their movements becoming gradually less agitated. "An admirable sentiment," Viridian finally said, "though perhaps alarming in execution. Cultural differences we didn't anticipate," Maya acknowledged. "We hope to learn from this mistake, and many others we will likely make. Learning is why we came." This seemed to resonate with the aliens. "Learning is a worthy purpose," Viridian agreed. "We will proceed with the tour you offer." As they moved deeper into the Titan, The aliens' initial caution gradually gave way to curiosity. The ship's hydroponics gardens, with their carefully maintained Earth ecosystems, drew particular interest. "You bring your world with you," observed one of the Proximan scientists, watching a butterfly land on a flowering plant. "In a small way," Dr. Reyes replied. "These systems provide both food and atmospheric recycling for our journey." "Efficient," the alien noted, "though your methods differ from ours." The tour continued through research facilities, cultural exhibits, and engineering sections, carefully selected to demonstrate human achievements without overwhelming their guests. Throughout, the Proximans asked increasingly sophisticated questions, revealing a keen analytical intelligence. The delegation was examining a holographic display of Earth's solar system when an alarm suddenly blared throughout the ship. Maya's communicator activated immediately. "Captain, to the bridge," came Commander Okafor's tense voice. "Priority 1. Maya turned to the startled aliens. "Please forgive the interruption. Dr. Mbiki will continue the tour while I attend to this matter." "Is there danger?" Viridian asked, limbs shifting in what they now recognized as anxiety. "I don't know yet," Maya answered honestly. "But you have my word that you are safe aboard this vessel." As she hurried to the bridge, Maya felt a growing knot of tension. First contact was delicate enough without complications. The bridge was a flurry of activity when she arrived. "Report," she ordered, striding to the command station. Okafor's expression was grim. "We've detected an anomaly approaching from the system's Kuiper belt equivalent. Initial readings suggest a micrometeoroid swarm, but the trajectory is unusual." "Unusual how?" "It's changing, Captain," Lieutenant Commander Yusef Wong reported from the sensor station. "The objects are adjusting course to intercept both Proxima and our position." Maya frowned. "Natural objects don't change course. Are we looking at artificial weapons?" "Unknown," Wong replied. "But at current velocity, they'll reach the planet's atmosphere in approximately 9 hours." Maya studied the tactical display, watching the swarm of objects. Hundreds of them, curving toward the vulnerable planet below. "Have the Proximans detected this?" "They're beginning to," Area reported from communications. "We're picking up increased transmissions and what appears to be some kind of planetary alert." Maya made a quick decision. "Inform our guests immediately. Open a channel to whatever passes for their planetary defense." As Area worked to establish communications, Maya considered their options. The Titan possessed defensive capabilities designed primarily for clearing space debris, point defense lasers, and electromagnetic countermeasures. Whether these would be effective against an unknown threat was another question entirely. More concerning was the timing. Their arrival followed almost immediately by a potential attack would look suspicious at best, deliberately orchestrated at worst. First contact had just become significantly more complicated. Part 2. Proving ground. The Proximan delegation's reaction to the news was immediate and severe. Viridian's exoskeleton darkened several shades, and the translator struggled to keep up with the rapid-fire communications between the aliens. "You bring destruction to our world," accused one of the Proximans, a military officer according to the introductions. "This is why you came in such a vessel, to witness our end." Maya kept her voice level despite the accusation. "We had no knowledge of this threat before our sensors detected it. We're prepared to assist in any way possible to protect your world." "Convenient timing," the officer replied, limbs moving in sharp, aggressive patterns. Viridian raised 2 appendages, silencing the officer. If Captain Chen intended our destruction, revealing the threat would be counterproductive. The first speaker turned to Maya. "What assistance can you offer?" "We need to understand what we're facing first," Maya replied. "Our sensors can track the objects, but we need more data to determine their composition and origin." Dr. Reyes approached with a datapad. "We've isolated a pattern in the object's movements. They're not just on an intercept course. They're actively coordinating, almost like a swarm," Viridian finished. "We have encountered such phenomena before, though never approaching from deep space. This was the first mention of any such threat, and Maya exchanged a quick glance with Dr. Mbiki, who subtly adjusted her translator. "Can you tell us more about these swarms?" Maya asked. "They are rare, ancient automated systems left from a civilization that inhabited this system before our evolution. They typically remain dormant in the outer system, but occasionally activate and target planetary bodies. And you've defended against them before." "Twice in our recorded history," Viridian confirmed. "Each encounter resulted in significant damage to population centers. Our defensive capabilities have improved since the last incursion, but the implication was clear. They weren't confident in their ability to repel this attack." Maya made a rapid assessment. "We have defensive systems that may help. More importantly, we have computational models that might predict their behavior if they operate as a true swarm intelligence. You would assist us." The question came from a Proximan Maya hadn't heard speak before, one with elaborate markings that Dr. Mbiki had whispered denoted a high-ranking political leader. "Of course," Maya said without hesitation. "We came here seeking friendship between our worlds. What kind of friends would we be if we didn't help in a crisis?" After a tense moment, Viridian's posture relaxed slightly. "We accept your offer of assistance, Captain Chen, but understand that trust is not yet established." "Understood." Maya nodded. "Let's get to work." The next 6 hours saw a flurry of activity as human and Proximan scientists collaborated to analyze the approaching threat. The Titan moved to a higher orbit, positioning itself between the planet and the incoming swarm, while Proximan defense platforms were activated across the planet's surface. In the ship's main strategic operations center, human and alien experts huddled around holographic displays showing the swarm's approach. Dr. Rice worked side by side with a Proximan scientist named Philip, their early awkwardness giving way to a rapidly developing professional respect. "Their coordination is remarkable," Philip observed, manipulating the holographic representation with delicate appendages. "Each object maintains precise spacing relative to the others, while the entire formation adjusts to maintain intercept." "Classic emergent behavior," Dr. Rice agreed. "But look here." He highlighted a section of the swarm. "There's a repeating pattern in how information propagates through the group. If we can identify the primary communication method, we might disrupt it," Philip finished, compound eyes gleaming with understanding. On the other side of the operations center, Maya conferred with Commander Okafor and the Proximan military representatives about defensive options. "Our point defense grid can target approximately 60% of the objects based on current projections," Okafor explained. "But that leaves hundreds that could penetrate to the atmosphere. Our planetary defenses can intercept perhaps another 20%. Added the Proximan officer, who had introduced himself as Defense Coordinator Merrick. "But previous encounters suggest these objects can evade targeted energy weapons by predicting firing solutions." Maya studied the tactical display. "If they're communicating as a swarm, they need to share information. That implies either electromagnetic signals or some other form of energy transmission we haven't detected yet." "We've observed quantum-entangled particles in previous encounters," Merrick noted. "Our attempts to jam such communications have been unsuccessful." Maya considered this. "What about the inverse approach? Instead of jamming their communications, what if we introduce our own signals that mimic their pattern but carrying contradictory instructions?" Merrick's appendages moved in what Maya was beginning to recognize as a gesture of consideration. "A deception operation against autonomous systems. Intriguing, but how would you penetrate their network?" "I might have an idea about that," came Dr. Raya's voice as he and Philip approached. "We've identified what appears to be a hierarchical structure within the swarm. Certain objects seem to function as relay nodes, coordinating smaller clusters. If we could compromise even a few of these nodes," Philip began, "we could potentially disrupt the entire formation," Maya finished. "Commander Okafor, what would it take to modify our communication array to broadcast on their frequencies?" "Significant reprogramming, Captain, but dual. The bigger challenge would be developing the right counter-signals quickly enough. Captain Chen, Viridian interrupted, approaching the group. Your ship's computational systems, are they more advanced than what we've shown you of our technology? Maya nodded. Based on what we've seen, yes. We have quantum processing arrays specifically designed for complex pattern analysis and prediction. Then perhaps the solution lies there, Viridian suggested. If your systems can analyze the swarm's communication patterns rapidly enough to develop effective countermeasures, we'd need to integrate our sensors with yours to get complete data, Maya pointed out. A momentary silence fell over the group. What Maya proposed would mean giving humans access to Proximan defense systems, a significant leap of trust for a civilization that had met them less than a day ago. Viridian conferred briefly with the other Proximans before responding. Necessity compels unusual measures, Captain. We will provide access to our sensor networks. 3 hours later, with the swarm less than 2 hours from intercepting the planet, the combined human Proximan team had developed a multi-layered defense strategy. The Titan's massive computational systems, fed by data from both the ship's sensors and the planetary defense network, had identified critical nodes within the swarm structure and developed customized interference patterns for each. The plan has 3 phases, Maya explained to the assembled team. First, the Titan will position itself at the calculated optimal transmission point and broadcast the disruption signals targeting the command nodes. If successful, this should create confusion within the swarm. Second, continued Commander Okafor, as the formation begins to break down, both our point defense systems and the planetary defense grid will target the identified primary nodes, further degrading their coordination. Finally, Merak added, our atmospheric interceptors will engage any objects that penetrate the outer defenses, prioritizing based on size and trajectory as determined by the predictive model. Viridian regarded the humans with an unreadable expression. This plan relies heavily on your technology and analysis, Captain Chen. It relies on both our capabilities, Maya corrected gently. Neither of us could accomplish this alone. After a moment, Viridian's exoskeleton shifted to a lighter hue. Proceed. As the Titan maneuvered into position, Maya returned to the bridge, tension evident in every line of her body. First contact missions were supposed to be methodical, cautious affairs, not thrown immediately into crisis management. Yet there was something appropriate about facing danger together. Nothing revealed character like shared adversity. In position, Captain, reported the helm officer. Transmission systems ready. Defense grid at full capacity, added Okafor. Proximan systems are synchronized with ours. Maya took a deep breath. Commence transmission. The ship hummed with power as its communication arrays broadcast precisely calibrated signals designed to infiltrate and confuse the advancing swarm. On the tactical display, Maya watched as the neat formation of approaching objects began to waver, individual units drifting slightly off course. It's working, Arya reported, excitement coloring her voice. We're seeing degradation in their coordination patterns. Point defense systems engaging, Okafor announced as the Titan's laser grid activated, precisely targeting the nodes they had identified. Bright flashes appeared at the edges of the swarm as both the ship's weapons and the planetary defenses began to eliminate key targets. The remaining objects' formation deteriorated further, breaking into smaller, less coordinated clusters. 87% of primary nodes neutralized, reported Lieutenant Wang. Remaining swarm elements showed decreased coordination efficiency of 63%. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Planetary defense status. Proximan systems report successful targeting of secondary clusters, Arya replied. Atmospheric penetration projections down to less than 5% of original estimates. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency as the operation continued, adjusting their tactics as the swarm adapted. When a small cluster of objects managed to evade both the Titan's defenses and the planetary grid, the ship smoothly repositioned to intercept them before they could reach the atmosphere. 3 tense hours later, the last of the swarm had been neutralized. A ragged cheer went up from the bridge crew before professionalism reasserted itself. "Damage report," Maya ordered. "Minimal power system strain from extended point defense operations," Okafor reported. "No structural damage." The Proximans report 3 defense platforms overheated but no planetary impacts. Maya allowed herself to relax slightly. "Open a channel to first speaker Viridian." When the alien leader appeared on screen, Maya was surprised to see what their xenopsychologists interpreted as a gesture of respect. "Captain Chen," Viridian began, "it appears we misjudged you, and perhaps humanity as a whole. Your assistance has prevented significant loss of life today." "We're glad we could help," Maya responded simply. "Though I hope future interactions between our peoples can occur under less dramatic circumstances." "As do I," Viridian agreed. "This encounter has revealed much about humans that our remote communications could not. Your willingness to defend those you barely know, your technological adaptability, and your collaborative approach have all been educational." Maya smiled. "We've learned much about your people as well, first speaker. Your courage, your scientific insight, and your willingness to trust, when necessary, speak well of the Proximan civilization. Perhaps," Viridian suggested, "we might continue the cultural exchange we began earlier, this time with fewer preconceptions on both sides." "Nothing would please us more," Maya agreed. 2 days later, as the first official Proximan delegation prepared to board the Titan for extended diplomatic talks, Maya stood in her ready room, gazing at the beautiful world below. First contact had not gone as planned. It had been more dangerous, more complicated, and ultimately more revealing than anyone had anticipated. Yet in facing crisis together, humans and Proximans had learned more about each other in days than they might have in years of careful, distant diplomacy. The foundation they were building now was based not on cautious words but on demonstrated actions. As she prepared to welcome the Proximans aboard, Maya reflected that perhaps this was how lasting interstellar relationships should begin, not with careful distance but with the shared experience of overcoming adversity together. The massive Titan, once viewed with suspicion and fear, now orbited Proxima as a symbol of unexpected friendship and alliance, proof that even across the gulf of space, different species could find common ground in courage, ingenuity, and cooperation. Humanity had made its first allies among the stars.